Hello YouTube. This is going to be my first unscripted video. I'm making this because I can't stand it when people make real life decisions based on bad science and then try to justify it as being a good thing or whatever. So I was catching up on my YouTube videos and I was watching This Week in Stupid by Sargon of Akkad, posted on May 2nd, and about 15 minutes in, he talks about an article about a university in Canada called McMaster that's going to give a raise to all their full-time female faculty members to correct what they're basically calling a systematic bias. So like the wage gap, basically. They've looked at all the male professors and looked at all the female professors, and they found that the men make more, so they're giving all the women a raise. Now, just on the surface, that some people might think, okay, that makes sense. But I wanted to know why they made this decision. So I actually went and I found the study that they based this decision on, and I have to say it is, in terms of studies that you're going to base real life decisions on that are going to affect people's lives, this is terrible. So I'm going to leave a link to it. I'm just going to go through a few parts of it here. So let's see. Okay, here's the best part. So they go through the demographics. There's 939 full-time faculty members. Female faculty members are about 36% of the total faculty population. It's fine. They acknowledge, okay, male faculty members are paid more, and the average difference between them is about $14,500. But then they go into a little more detail and they show that on some ranks, for full professors, associate professors, and lecturers, men are paid more. But if you look at the assistant professor rank, women are actually paid more. So right there, without even going through the rest of the study, we can say that by giving all female full-time faculty members a raise, you're actually increasing the wage gap between these female assistant professors and the male counterparts. So right there, without even going through any of the rest of the study, I can tell you that what's happening at McMaster University is sexism. This is gender-based discrimination, and it's in favor of women and against men, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. But just so we're fully clear on how much bullshit is going on here, I'm going to go through the rest of the study, or at least parts of it. So we know that female assistant professors are making more, but then if we go down, we see that male faculty members are in general older compared to their female faculty and have a higher number of years in their rank, and years since highest degree and years since first degree. So all the factors they're basically determining how experienced they are. Except among the assistant professors. That's the one case in which female assistant professors have more experience. And surprise, surprise, that's the case in which they also have higher salaries. Now, any sane person would say, oh, well, just based on that alone, it seems like maybe, experience is the more relevant factor, not, whether or not you have a penis. But the study, charges on regardless. So they're using a multiple linear regression here, and generally in stats, when you're doing a multiple linear regression, what you're trying to figure out is whether or not something was caused by random chance or not. And generally, what you would do is basically testing whether, what percent you can say is true. And the standard for this is usually 0.05. So you're looking for something that you're 95% sure is not caused by random chance, and the higher 95 or above %, and then you can say, yes, this is not caused by random chance. We know that these factors are important. So they did their test, but of course they didn't actually, to avoid multicollinearity, they got rid of the age, years since first degree, years since highest degree, and years at McMaster, because apparently those aren't relevant, even though we know from the first part that experience is probably the main factor here. But they didn't. They took out a lot of the experience factors. Okay, and the best part is, here's the best part. They did their tests, and it failed. Gender was found to be statistically insignificant at the 5% significance level. So what did they do? Well, because gender remains in the model. Gender remains in the model because it's in the primary independent variable. It's the primary independent variable, which means they went into the study already knowing, quote unquote, knowing that gender was an important factor. So they have to keep it in. So all they did is they shifted the goalpost to the 10% significance level. So now we're talking about a 90% chance that is not based on random chance. So any statistician will tell you that this is pretty much bullshit here. This is they're not. They've gotten to the point here where they're not proving anything. You know, and a good scientist at this point would have been like, okay, well, all we've shown is that there's no significance here. We need further study to see if this is just this particular sample, if we need to do it again. Okay. What else? Let's see. They also did this Blinder-Oaxaca decomposition, which is a statistical method specifically for finding discrimination in wage gap. So I am very skeptical about that particular method. And regardless, so let's go to the conclusion. The results from the regression and the decomposition analysis both suggest that at the 5% significance level, there is insufficient evidence to reject the null hypothesis. So even with their special wage gap method, they still couldn't find any significant difference between men and women. So all they can say is that, okay, the best they can come up with. However, given that the conventional significance level range is between 0.01 and 0.1, our p-value of 0.07 indicates evidence of significance, although that evidence is not strong. So, this is the study that they're using to justify actually paying people more based on their gender. A study that within itself, even though it set out specifically to find gender-based discrimination or evidence of it, they still couldn't find anything. And yet doesn't matter. This study could have said anything, I bet. And they still would have been like, yeah, well, women are being paid less, so we should give them all a raise. No. This is insane. This is complete insanity. I'm all for fixing any kind of wage gap that is actually based on discrimination or actually based on sexism, whether it's blatant or whatever. But if you're going to base your decisions on crappy studies like this, then no one should ever take you seriously. Anyone who made the decision at McMaster based on this should be fired immediately because they do not belong in an academic institution. I'm serious about that. And I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about this. I'm flabbergasted by this ridiculousness. Anyways, thank you for listening. Like, dislike, subscribe, unsubscribe, whatever you want. Share it. And I wish you all the best.